I do not understand why scholars have failed to make a big deal out of US Vice President J.D. Vance's theory of globalization. J.D. Vance said something very interesting a couple of months ago because it was basically expressing discontent about globalization and its outcomes for the US economy, or, by extension, for the developed world. J.D. Vance said the idea of globalization was that rich countries would move further up the value chain while the poor countries made simpler things. And he added, but I think we got it all wrong. It turns out that the geographies that do the manufacturing get awfully good at the designing of things. Now, that is the statement of the century. So I am still trying to figure out why scholars have not made a big deal out of this. Is it because they would be exposed as frauds? And I'm talking particularly about Western scholars. Tons of literature have been written about globalization and its inevitability. Whoa, tons and tons of books have been written about globalization and why it is good for everybody. We in the so-called global south, this is Nairobi, Kenya, where I am. We in the so-called global south have had a more critical attitude towards globalization. And we know that historically, globalization is simply the outcome or the end of a long process of domination. If you remember what Professor Ali Mazrui said about globalization, he said that globalization has two phases. One is homogenization, making similar, and the other is hegemonization. That means that even in the process of making similar, certain traits, certain cultures become dominant. So as long as that process was going the way Ali Mazrui described it, Western scholars did not have a problem with it. We have always had a problem with it. Since the days of modernization, Rostow and the others, they told us that we simply need to copy what is going on in the developed world and we shall be okay. But the international political economy was not designed for everybody to be okay. You see, that's the point. The international political economy was designed, for example, so that Africa would perpetually continue to supply the world with raw materials with no possibility of advancing. So when Kwame Nkrumah tried some industrialization efforts, he was overthrown and murdered. African leaders who have tried to safeguard the resources of the continent so that they would benefit the people of the continent have been murdered. So therefore, my conclusion would be that what J.D. Vance is saying, in essence, is that the system that they created to benefit them has ended up benefiting others, but not Africans. So what we need to find out as scholars is why did the others try to thrive within this system that was created to make them subservient rather, and Africa has not advanced even an inch? That is the big question that scholars in the African continent need to ask, even as we see what is going on in the world, probably the last kicks of the neoliberal world.